matter expert websites, that's what we're going to talk about today. They might seem really straightforward. I mean, after all, there's not e-commerce in them typically. You're not really selling individual items where you have to take money. So, they don't have quite as much functionality. So it can seem like they're pretty simple.
Hmm.
But here's the thing that we know, when you make really simple food, it's kind of easy to get it wrong because simple food, you have to do a lot more right, right? And a lot of subject matter expert websites we see get things a bit wrong. So that's what we're going to talk about today. My colleague Kristen and Kud and I are going to talk about how we see subject matter experts get these more straightforward websites wrong. So my name is Erica Dickstein, and I'm with Spring Insight.
And I am Kristen Cudd, and I'm also with Spring Insight.
Awesome. So, Kristen, selling services instead of solving issues.
Right. This is
That's one that
something,
I really see a lot.
yeah, we see this a lot with subject matter expert sites that we help to make better. So it seems like, a little bit counterintuitive because you're selling a service, right? You're not in business for free. You want to eventually engage a client. However, people aren't coming to your site wanting to know what they can buy from you. What they want to know is that they have a problem and that you can solve it. So your subject matter expert website must immediately convey to anyone who's visiting it, I know what your problem is, I understand what your problem is, and I have a solution to it that is going to work for you.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I tell a story often, a personal story of mine that I think really exemplifies this issue, which is a child of mine a number of years ago needed help in school, and I was sort of at the time I didn't even know what to call this help. They needed help not in a particular topic, but in sort of the organizational overall of like coordinating their work, coordinating and getting organized, right?
Hmm.
Now I know it's an executive functioning coach. I didn't know then. I didn't know what I was looking for. So somebody had made a recommendation to me. This is the person you need to talk to. I went to their website. Kristen, I started to cry because I was like, oh my God, like, and it made me cry. So a couple of days later, I was like, I build websites. Like, if this website made me cry, what was it about this site? So I went back and looked at it again, and I realized that that's what it was. It wasn't that it was so beautiful or anything about the design of it. It was that the language was talking to me about my problem or my child's problem and how they solved my child's problem. And it really spoke to me. And by the way, of course I hired them because it was a complete no-brainer. They
Yeah.
knew my problem, they understood my problem, they had solved my problem before, and they had told me about the solution.
Yeah. No, that's a great story to show the importance of talking about problems and solutions, not a list of services.
Exactly. If they'd said we do this, this, and this in executive functioning coaching, I would have been like, okay. But instead, they really just made it they really appealed to me where I was at. Okay, so problem number two that we see from these subject matter expert websites is lacks of call to action, right? And this is going to sound kind of funny because we just told people, well, don't sell people, right? Now we're saying, no, you kind of have to sell people.
Right. Yeah. As with all things marketing, there's always a little bit of, contradictory advice. However, in this case, it's making it very clear to the person who's visiting your site what they should do next in order to engage with you on this solution you are offering them that they know is right for their problem. So it has to be really easy for someone to take that next step. You don't want to have them searching around like, okay, you can solve my problem. How do I get started with you? you know?
I would even go a step further and say, make sure, it's not even just like in the anecdote that you just said, making them look around. That's assuming they know that they want that as a next step. Like really make it so easy to engage you that it's almost part of what you're reading. I mean, because what we see a lot, right? The homepage, man, homepages almost always, not always, but almost always they hit calls to action out of the park. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you do that well on the homepage. It's these interior pages where somebody, every single blog page, every single interior page needs to invite people to do business with, right?
Right.
And it could be as simple as a as as a button or a link that says, well, as your next step, why don't we talk? We schedule time and we can talk about this problem that you have, and making sure that that's literally on any piece of content that you provide.
Yeah. I mean, and it truly is remarkable. If you tell people what to do, they will often do it. But you
Absolutely.
have to tell them.
Hmm.
Tell me what
Exactly.
to
And
do
make it easy
next, and
for
I'll
them.
do it.
Tell them and make it easy for them.
Yeah.
So number three, being overly static. So this happens a lot, right? You get a website, you go to a website, right? And that website is a testament, it's like a museum piece to the state of that organization 2 years ago when the
Right.
site was launched, because they have said it and they have forgotten it.
Yeah. It's like, I did my website. We're done.
Exactly. And so for those people, I'm always curious, well, has your industry stood still? Like, has nothing changed in the last 2 years?
Right. Yeah. You have to demonstrate that, first of all, you're alive and kicking, right? So that's, which we're going to get into, like, how can you demonstrate that you are progressing with your industry. So if your industry is not frozen in time, your business shouldn't be frozen in time either. And you need to demonstrate through your website that you are following the trends of your industry, that you are providing services in the most modern way possible, in the most effective way possible. And, people don't just go to your website once. I mean, they may come back a year later and they're like, this still, like, nobody likes a stale cracker, right? So you don't want a stale website either.
Wow, I have deja vu when I'm here. So let's talk about some ways that you can continually keep it updated and looking vibrant. The easiest way, I mean, that makes such a big difference, is just customizing the hero area and changing out the images in the hero area. It is so easy to do, and yet we see that done so rarely, which is, just make sure that the site will look different. If you change your top, you're going to be looking like you're wearing a different outfit.
Right. So that's the first thing that people see when they go to your site. And you have an unmatched opportunity there to communicate really effectively with anyone who's visiting your site. And so if you change it, then you're giving yourself more opportunity, not only to refine your messaging and make sure that you're communicating things that resonate with your audience, but you're keeping it fresh and exciting, and it's not hard to do.
Absolutely. Okay, number two is blog posts, right? Write a blog.
Yeah.
That's, it provides so much value in terms of putting out your point of view, all those other things that we usually talk about. But in addition, it keeps your site vibrant. People can
Exactly.
tell. And then finally, announcement areas, whether it's sort of the hello bar at the top or just putting places that you can announce things, whether it's a special event, whether there's something, a lot of times there's just things going on in your industry that you want people to know about. Hey, this is something you should be paying attention to.
Right. There's been a regulatory change, or there's been whatever it is. It's like, and again, you're demonstrating I am an expert in this area, and I know what's happening out there, and you need to know about it too as my client or my potential client.
Absolutely. And then, okay, so next let's talk about, so number, I can't even remember, we're
Three.
number three, templatized look. So a site that sort of has this templatized look.
Yeah. So,
Both of us are
I
kind of like,
mean,
oh.
websites really need to veer more couture rather than TJ Maxx. you know, they, you don't want to look like you went into a very standard website builder page and you plopped in some stock photos of people that don't maybe not look like they're people that work with you that this other person in your industry also has on their site. It's like you want things to be unique and interesting on your website, not templated.
Oh, it's so true. And I know why this happens, right? A lot of our subject matter experts are sitting out there going, but what is unique? I don't have, maybe I'm only two or three people, and what are they going to take pictures of? And, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. It's
A good web
actually,
strategy company will help you figure out what you're going to take pictures of and take enough pictures that you can keep it updated, but really, or in the worst case scenario, create illustrations that you can also change. But what you really don't want to do is have these templated, as you said, Kristen, stock photos that really somebody comes to your site and they're like, this looks like the last four sites that I've seen. Why is this exactly the same?
right. And we like to tell people be bold. You are different than everyone else in your field. So, and that's again where a marketing team like us can help you figure out what is that differentiator and how can we communicate that, not just with messaging, but with visuals as well.
Absolutely. How can we make sure that when somebody comes to the site, they're not saying, oh, look, it's white walls and a bunch of diverse people sitting around a table
Shaking hands or signing
shaking hands.
papers.
No, this is what it's like to work with this person.
Right.
So much more compelling.
Absolutely.
All right. And I believe our final one is letting jargon sneak in. So, oh my goodness. This is one, I'll tell you, this is one that we have a lot of challenges with in our industry because nothing gets more jargony than the website, digital marketing website strategy, right?
Right.
So infographics, favicons, like, hero image, which I think we've
Yeah.
even probably talked about today. But making sure, it's so critical to make sure that the language that you use is language that is really going to be understood by the people who are visiting.
Right. And of course, we recognize that in some fields of expertise, you do want to demonstrate that you have this jargon at your disposal and that you understand it. However, the really critical component is that if you're going to use those terms, that you explain what they mean in a way that someone who's not in your industry can understand, just as we did when we did use the term hero image, but then we explained what that is for people who are not in website development and have never heard the term hero.
Absolutely. It's a great point. And one of the things that I talk a lot about too is when you're doing that, it's important that you're not dumbing down anything. Nobody likes that. That doesn't feel good. But instead, what you're doing is you're really contextualizing the words that you use so that people can grasp on and understand what you're saying.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Really important
So
point.
there you go. Those are the areas that we sort of see sites really go awry. Thank you, Kristen, so much for joining me and chatting about this today. And
It's
for
always
everybody
fun.
watching, thank you so much. At Spring Insight, we are dedicated to providing new content and educational information about websites to subject matter experts and to government contractors and in a variety of different areas on a weekly basis. So please like this video if you enjoyed it and got something out of it, and please subscribe to our channel so that you know when new videos come out. But in addition, if we can help you avoid these mistakes, please come and visit our website, which is springinsight, springinsih2.com, and sign up for a consultation.
We would love to chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.